What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Runewords Reimagined. Now, if you're wondering where I have been for about a week, well, I kind of got drunk at a friend's house and somehow ended up in Montreal, Canada with no ID and no way to get home. So that was weird. But today, yes, we got 4 new rune words, technically only 3 new rune words. The reason being is this first one we are going to talk about is a rune word I've already made a video for, but this rune word has been changed, so I had to do an update to this just so that people weren't confused and going through my list of videos and being like, hey man, why is it that I can't make Siren's song? It doesn't make sense. WTF is going on? This is what's going on. They changed the rune word. Why did they change the rune word? Because as you are about to see, this is actually one of the most powerful rune words, at least mid-tier level rune words in the game, and was pretty broken for the low cost that it used to be. So what is the answer to this dilemma? Well, they just went ahead and put 2 sirs at the end of the rune word. So Siren's song used to be a 2 rune word, and all you needed to make it was a lem and a shell rune. But as you can see right here, if you're paying attention, unless you're just listening to this at work, which is totally fine. I do that all the time if I had a job. But let's go ahead and get started with this one so you can see exactly what Siren Song will give you. So first up, we got the lem rune, we got a shell rune, we got a sir rune, and one more sir rune. Here we go. We now have Siren's Song. Now, you used to be able to equip this rune word at a much lower level. I can't remember what it was. I think it might have been like 35 or 36. Don't hold me to that because I legitimately don't remember. But let's just go over these affixes here. So it's going to give you 44% chance to cast level 3 Confuse when struck. And if I can stop right there, I know a lot of people like Confuse because it causes the monsters to actually attack each other, but personally I just don't really care about that one. I'm sure someone out there is going to want to defend it with everything they have, and that's totally fine. Not saying it's garbage, just saying for a level 61 rune word, I don't really know how good that's gonna be, because it kind of makes this rune word have a strange identity here, and I think that'll make more sense when we continue on down the line what I'm trying to get across to you guys. So after that, we get +2 to all skills. We're also going to get 25% faster cast rate. You also get 20% faster hit recovery. You get +2 to defense. This will be based on character level. +10 to all attributes. 20% increased maximum mana. 50% extra gold for monsters. And a 31% chance to get a better roll for getting magic items. This can roll anywhere from between 30 and 50. So I just got a craptastic roll on this. It can go as high as 50% if you are lucky and not me. Now let's get into the whole confusing identity thing. So my first assumption of this rune word, when you just look at it up front, makes you feel like, okay, this is probably for a caster type, which is understandable, but this rune word can really be utilized by just about any class. A barbarian could definitely get use out of this. Why? Because of the faster hit recovery and the 2 to all skills, and even that confuse that we were just talking about. But not only that, but also a necromancer could easily get use out of this as well. And I'm not gonna bore you guys by continuing to go on and on and on and on. I'm sure if you know anything about Diablo 2, that you can realize by looking at this that almost any class can benefit from using this rune word. In fact, if I remember correctly, the first time I made a video on this, I don't think I gushed about it as much as I'm probably about to do. And I suppose I can even understand why they would want to up the level requirement for this and add 2 more runes to make this a little less overpowered, I guess you would say, because at level 61 there are other alternatives that you can be using instead of Siren's Song, and I would not blame you for doing so. But I want you to take a step back here and just think about this, because when we used to be able to make this with only a lem and a shell rune, that's pretty beefy, right? For a rune word that only has 2 runes, and very mid-tier runes, by the way, to have 2 to all skills is pretty effing nuts. and with the faster cast right there and the faster hit recovery as well. Not to mention 10 to all attributes. This thing right here, well, here, let me put it this way for you guys. I have an Annihilus Charm right here, and let's look at that really quick. So we're gonna get +1 to all skills, 10 to all attributes, 10 to all resistances, 5% to experience gained. This alone is one of the most coveted items in the game. I think we can all agree with that. And this rune word right here gives you at least half of that equation and more. You get more in just this rune word than you would just for the Annihilus Charm. And you would get it with just a lem and a shell rune. So yes, Siren's song is amazing. It is a little, I don't want to say wishy-washy, and I don't want to be like, oh, you know, it's not good because, you know, any class can use it, because that's not really what I'm trying to say. I guess what I'm just trying to say here is I don't really know what the guy was going for when he made this rune word, unless it was strictly like, hey, I just want to make an overpowered, busted rune word that can help my sorceress or my necro or my assassin that I'm playing as. So I'm just gonna make this rune word here and throw it in the game and call it a day. Because I mean, when you look at this thing, right, this is like the big brother to lore, isn't it? I would totally say that. And you know, 20% increased maximum mana, that's a lot, man. There's not too many items in the game that's gonna give you that. And that can actually really change your character. Like, let me give you an example. Say that you are a Nova Source, right? And you're having regeneration issues with your mana because let's say you're not using Insight on your mercenary anymore. Now you've given Emilio Infinity and you no longer have the same regenerate mana rate that you did before. This right here, although it would not be a permanent solution to that problem, it can still actually help you out quite a bit, because the more mana that you have, the faster you're going to regenerate mana, which is why with the Immortal Sorc build, the thing they always tell you is put your points into mana, not vitality, and to pretend that mana is your vitality, because the more points that you have for mana for the Immortal Source build, then the faster your mana will regen and the more health you'll have. So when you take damage, it'll take out a good chunk. But if you have a crazy amount of mana, it won't really matter because it will regenerate so quickly that the monsters simply won't be able to kill you. But the moral of the story is the more items that you could find with increased maximum mana is going to make that build that much better. I don't see why anybody wouldn't want to make this unless maybe you have something along the lines of Reimagined or something. I think I have that on. I do, but let me move it because the camera's in the way. Okay, yeah, so this one can be equipped at level 89, and I will definitely take this over Siren Song. But if we look at both of these side by side, you can probably see the similarities here, where this is kind of the little brother now to Rain Reimagined. So in my opinion, this rune word really is used best when it is a mid-tier rune word, something you probably would want to make in Nightmare. But now that the level requirement is 61, I'm not really sure how many people are going to really be using this. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that because things have changed now. So in the past, it was like you wanted to be level 70, maybe at most, right? Before you went into hell. Nowadays, you want to be level 80 or 90 before you go into hell, and you're probably going to end up trying to make Rain Reimagined before you get to hell, just because you want everything that you can possibly get that's going to make you stronger. And now, personally, I would choose Rain Reimagined, but for a short period of time, I might use Siren Song. But my only issue with that now is those two Sir runes are pretty damn expensive. And yes, this is D2RR, so Sir runes will drop a lot, at least relatively speaking. My only issue is there's probably going to be scenarios where most people, by the time they actually find the 2 Sur runes, they're probably ready to make Rain Reimagined. So now that this is higher, I honestly think there's more of a chance of people to just forego Siren Song altogether now and just wait till you can make a Rain Reimagined, or until you find a Queen Crest or something like that. Now again, please don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that Siren Song is garbage by any means. It's definitely one of the most powerful rune words in the entire game. I just wish it was a little bit lower in required level, simply for balance. Now, I do understand that there's going to be people out there that think I'm nuts for even saying that, but the game is harder now, so we do need things that are going to help us be more powerful a little earlier than it was before we got to 2.0. So having this be level 61 now, I just don't know if I really like that. Maybe if they made it so that it only had 1 Sur rune, I think that would be better. I really do. And let me not forget to mention before I move on to the next rune word, that this is a really good rune word for you to put onto a mercenary. So if you're using Emilio, I really think he would shine with this rune word right here. This would be great for him. You know, you're getting more defense, you're getting faster hit recovery. You probably don't really need the faster cast rate, but the hit recovery and the cast rate are kind of interchangeable, which is what I'm saying when I say it's a little, you know, it's a little confusing, right? Like, again, there just really isn't a specific build for this rune word. It really is just more of a utility rune word. And Emilio would actually benefit from that level 3 confused, because it would be a way to keep the monsters off of him a little bit more so that he can stick and poke and just kill things faster and not really have to worry so much. But then you also get the defense too. So I would definitely recommend this to anybody out there who has a mercenary right now and you're not really quite sure what you can do to make your mercenary better. I would say look into Siren Song, at least if you're around level 61 or even a little bit higher, simply because of that. But also, I want to recommend one more rune word if you're using an Act 2 Merc, and that's Obedience. Now, Obedience has been in the game for a while now. It isn't a new rune word. It is a vanilla rune word, but I really feel like people sleep on Obedience because Obedience gives Emilio everything that he could possibly really need to survive and have an even better chance of survival. So unless you're making an infinity and you're giving that to Emilio and you happen to be a Nova Source or something like that, then I would definitely say look into Obedience. I don't think that's going to steer you wrong if you're having issues with your mercenary. So I do apologize because I'm pretty sure I probably just ranted for about 20 minutes. Hopefully I will get that cut down to 10 minutes or so. Guess we will find out in the future. But all in all, yes, Siren Song is an amazing rune word, and it just kind of saddens me a little bit that we have to wait until level 61 to use it now. But to be fair, it was extremely overpowered, and I have no effing clue what whoever it was that made this rune word was thinking of just giving it a lemon and shell and calling it a day, and then giving someone plus $2 skills. Maybe it made more sense in the, I think, what is it, the Talon Rage mod or something like that, Talon Lord mod, whatever it was that these rune words came from. It probably made more sense in that game, but long story short, yes, this is still good, and I would still definitely recommend it. All right, so the next rune we're about to make is a rune word for the Paladin. This one is known as Heaven's Will. And it is a relatively decent rune word. In my opinion, not the best, but I will explain it as we go over these affixes. So to make Heaven's Will, you are going to need a Dole rune and an Eld rune. So yes, extremely cheap to make. You can equip this at level 31. I know it says 34 on the shield, but that's just because of the shield that I'm using. You can actually make this a level 31. Now it's going to give you +1 to Paladin skill levels, plus 30% faster block rate, 57% increased chance of blocking, 48% enhanced weapon damage, slain monsters rest in peace, which has to be one of my favorite affixes. Also +6 to Fist of the Heavens, replenish life, and that 28 to all resistances was already on the shield before I made it. And if you are wondering, yes, this is always going to roll with +6 to Fist of the Heavens, which is freaking great. So before I go into talking about the whole thing I'm about to go into, which I know is just going to bore a lot of people, and I apologize, everybody. But hey, man, this is what I do. This is what I do. Okay? Anyways, enough of that. So, is this a good rune word? Well, I mean, for level 31, this is effing amazing. +6 to Fist of the Heavens at level 31 is just wow. And I guess the good news would be when you're using this, you might be at the end of normal, or I guess the beginning of Nightmare, maybe midway through Nightmare, where your resistances won't quite be an issue for you yet. And now, although I found this one with +28 to all resistances, you can make this in a shield that doesn't have that. And if I could make any recommendation to anybody who is playing a paladin who is actually considering using Heaven's Will, do not make this in a shield that does not have plus to all resistances. Because in my opinion, although +6 to Fist of the Heavens is freaking massive and a giant power leap, it really is, resistances is so freaking important now, it's not even funny. So unless you have modded the game files to put the resistances back to how they were before the 2.0 patch, then I definitely would not recommend making this when you can make something that's going to give you resistances, because you're really going to need those. Now, something else that is good about this shield though is it only takes a Dole and an Eld rune. That's pretty dang cheap, man. I don't think I can think of any other rune words that's going to give me +6 to anything that cheap. Maybe Snowdrop, but if I'm not mistaken, isn't 5 the highest that it can go? Let me look at that. Let me take a look at Snowdrop and Leaf and see what those are going to give us. So we got Snowdrop. Okay, so Snowdrop's only going to give you up to +3. Then I'm pretty sure that's what Leaf will give you too. Yeah, so I don't think there's anything else in the game that is going to give you +6 to anything that cheap. That's pretty dang good, especially because it's not a unique, so you don't need to worry about finding the thing. You just need a Dole and an Eld rune, which is going to be extremely easy for you guys to find. Now, do we really need Slain Monsters Rest in Peace at level 34 though? And I do understand some people would probably be like, yeah, I don't want to deal with those shaky stick shamans or anything like that, so I would love to have that. But I don't know, I guess in my mind, I only really care about Slain Monsters Rest in Peace or Prevent Monster Heal or things like that when I'm going up against Ubers, and there's probably no way I would ever use this against an Uber. Now, I guess you could make this in an elite shield, but when there's things out there like Spirit, I would still make Spirit before I made this rune word. Is it a bad rune word? Hell no, it's not a bad rune word. This is actually pretty nice. Sure, the defense might be a little bit low, but that's because it's a protector shield, right? But again, you're probably only gonna wanna make this like in normal difficulty or in nightmare difficulty. So, but this could have the potential to be a build defining item right here, at least until you get to hell. Because I know, like on my paladin, I actually do love to use Fist of the Heavens, and I will definitely use this for quite a while. And the +6 is such a giant leap in power that I would really have to think about it before I ever took this thing off. And I could totally see myself just making it an elite shield simply because I want to keep the +6 to Fist of the Heavens. I'm not saying that any of these other affixes are garbage or anything. I mean, +1 to paladin skill levels is pretty good too. And remember, that means it's basically giving you +7 to Fist of the Heavens, not +6. Because +1 to paladin skill levels will stack on top of the +6, so you're gonna end up with 7, which is a lot. So I could actually see people, let me ask you this, man. Okay, let me ask you this. Why is Siren Song, where you only get +2 to all skills? This one is known as being super broken and just overpowered, and that's why they added the 2 Sur runes. Well, I'm throwing it out here right now. Heaven's Will, getting +6, +7 to Fist of the Heavens, you know, and these extra skills over here at level 31. Come on, man. You see what I'm saying? Do I even need to go further? Man, this one's a little powerful too for a freaking Dole and an Eld rune. I really think maybe, you know, to be fair, if we're being fair here and we're really trying to, you know, balance this out and make it so that, okay, look, you know, if it's going to give you that much power, you're going to need to use more runes, then in my opinion, Heaven's Will needs another rune in there too, because That's a lot of extra power, man. Now, maybe you think I'm crazy, but if you think I'm crazy, you must have never played a paladin before, because Fist of the Heavens is amazing and very powerful. Very, very powerful. So for you to be able to add +7 to Fist of the Heavens at level 31, yeah. So yes, this is a very, very good rune word, and I would definitely recommend it for a paladin that's mid-level. And upon further inspection, like I said, maybe this is a little bit too powerful for level 31. But for any of you paladin players out there, go ahead and make this one. Now, again, only do this if you can find it with all resistances. And even then, maybe you don't really need to worry about the resistances with that much to Fist of the Heavens. I've kind of just talked myself into loving this shield, I'm not gonna lie. So maybe I was a little mistaken, because on further inspection, holy crap. Okay, yeah, this is a damn good rune word. And for our next rune word, we have a rune word that is known as Dread. And to make Dread, you will need a Dol rune, an El rune, and an Ith rune. So yes, again, very cheap to make this one. And for this, you will be getting 13% chance to cast level 13 Charge Bolt on striking, which can be pretty dang powerful, especially at level 32, which is when you can equip this. You're gonna get 20% faster run walk, enhanced defense, plus 15 defense. Now, this is based on character level. That's the only reason I have 47 to strength and 47 to dex. I think my character right now is a level 95 sorceress. You will also get replenished life +7, +8 life after each kill. 15% damage taken goes to mana, +1 to light radius, and +1 to required skill level. So normally this would actually be level 31, but because of the +1 to required skill level, it is now level 32, which is relatively early for you to be making this. Now, the faster run walk is nice, and the defense is nice, and to have a little bit of extra strength and a little bit of extra dexterity options on this is nice as well. But to me, in my opinion, I guess it is a little mid. I think I would only probably use this rune word if I needed a little more strength or a little more dexterity to equip something else that I had that I really wanted to throw onto whatever character it was that I'm trying to put this on. Now, again, I'm not trying to say that this is craptastic, and I think I want to stop for just a moment and explain something to anybody who is still here listening to this. I think sometimes in my videos, people will hear me say things like, it's not the worst, or it's pretty mid, or things like that, and they will automatically assume that I don't like the rune word, or I think it's trash. That's really not the case. I think anybody who's been playing Diablo 2 for a while could actually back me up on this one, but I've been playing long enough to the point now where if it's not an end game tier item, or it isn't something that is just blows me away when I look at it, to me, it's not that great. Only because, I mean, something that would be effing amazing to me would be something like Rain Reimagined from earlier, right? I mean, 4 to all skills, like, holy crap. When you see an item that has 4 to all skills on it, and then you look at an item that's got like +1 to all skills, kind of makes it a little mid. But there's a lot of different factors involved that you need to actually think about. Now, the issue with this one, though, is there's a lot of different uniques that you can equip at level 32 that are probably going to be better for you than Dread. Now, although Dread is not a terrible option, there are other rune words that I feel would be better. Let me look really quick. Let me see when you can put on Gloom, because also you need to remember, yeah, okay, so 47, so you can put Gloom on at level 47, just about a little ways after this, so I could see you using that for the moment. But I mean, there's rune words like Stealth, which is what, level 25 requirement, I believe. Let's take a look here. No, actually it's level 17. And that's going to give you faster cast if you're a caster type. See, now if you were just a caster type in general, you would probably pick Stealth over this, which is a level 17 rune word. But I will say that is a fairly decent amount of enhanced defense, and this can actually roll with up to 125 enhanced defense. But again, the name of the game now is resistances. So yes, this is probably good in terms of armor, and good in terms of you being able to create something that's going to make that defense up there go up quite a bit. you have to ask yourself, do I want something that's going to give me more defense, or would I rather have something that's going to give me more resistances? And although maybe in the version of the game that this was actually created for, you would probably pick the armor there, it's all about resistances now. It almost feels like we might be running into this issue where a lot of these items and these uniques that are out there and runewords that have already been put into the game, because they weren't made for this mod specifically, are starting to kind of fall back a little bit, in my opinion at least. Because the meta itself for this version of the game has changed, and I will die on that hill. I don't care what anyone tells me. The meta has changed, guys. It's really about resistances at this point. Unless you can find enough charms with res on it, then you pretty much have to change the way you've been playing the game for years. I said in an earlier video that I made that I actually started using Gloom again, and I do recommend Gloom, by the way, to anybody who's having issues in hell. But there are other runewords too that you can use that will give you a lot more resistances at even lower levels. I think level 21 requirement for youth. Go look at youth if you don't know what I'm talking about. Gives you like 30 to 35% resistances for basically everything except lightning resistance. Or you could make prayer, which is level 30, which will also give you a prayer aura. So I just don't really see dread hanging. You see what I mean? Like, again, it isn't like a super bad rune word or anything. It's just personally, I can't really see myself using this for any reason other than being like, for me to wear this belt that I have, I need to have, I don't know, I'm just going to throw a number out there, 65 strength. And for some reason, I need 10 more strength. I don't have any charms that are going to do it. So I make this and throw it onto my character just so I could wear that belt or that shield or whatever it is that I'm trying to wear. And now, just for the sake of just comparison here, let's take a look at a couple of runewords that are actually within that level right there that actually might be better for you. Well, here's one already. Level 25, you can make Myth for a Barbarian. That's going to give you +2 to Barbarian skills. Plus, you get 1 to Taunt, 1 to Howl. You're also getting your 10 replenish life on that. We got replenish life of 7 on this one, so right away, I mean, you already have more replenished life on Myth than you would have on Dread. And that one you can put on, what is that, 7 levels before you can even make Dread? Or if you're a sorceress, you can make Revenge. And I would definitely use Revenge over Dread. Again, unless I needed to have a little extra strength or dexterity to put something else on. We got Peace, that's an Amazon armor right there that you would always pick that over Dread as well. We got Smoke, which gives you +50 to all resistances, and that is a vanilla rune word, which again, that's another rune word. Maybe I should just stop talking about those, because I think I need to make a video on rune words that I used to consider not necessarily trash, but basically dead, because there was no actual reason for me to really use them, but now there is. And that again is what I'm talking about when I say it's like the meta has changed, because there is a lot of rune words now, and a lot of uniques for that matter, that I used to never even consider using. I would pick it up and be like, I don't care about this, goodbye, and throw it on the ground. But now I'm like, bro, I really should save that, and I might even want to use it for the first time in 15 years. But the moral of the story is, Dread is a decent rune word, it really is. I just think there's way too much competition in terms of rune words that are better than Dread, that it probably won't be used all that much. I'm only really touching on it because I'm obviously trying to make videos for YouTube where I talk about all the rune words. And again, I'm not trying to say anybody that uses Dread is stupid or it's a craptastic rune word. It does have its positives, but I really do think it might be time for people to start going into rune words and maybe tweaking them a little bit so that they are way more functional for the current state of Diablo 2 Reimagined. Because currently there are some rune words that are just kind of left behind now at this point. And that's another video I could actually make, or rune words that used to be effing incredible that are kind of dying off now because they're trying to find a new place in the current meta. With that being said, let's go on to the next rune word. This will be the last one for the day, And if you are still here, I am so sorry. I do not know what is wrong with me and why I just am so talkative about these rune words today. But this next one, you're going to need a jaw rune, an ist rune, a shell rune, and then our favorite Zod rune right there. And we now have purity. And now purity is a really good rune word, and I do like this. You can't make it until you're level 69 though, and that might be the only reason why I might not actually make this. When I am up towards that level, I am usually thinking more along the lines of endgame, although I can see certain scenarios where you might want to make this because you can get up to 50 to all resistances, which, as I have been talking about throughout this whole video, basically, resistances, in my opinion, are kind of the new meta, so that actually gives this rune word a little more value. But let's go ahead and talk about the other affixes. We're going to get 10% chance to cast level 19 bone armor when struck. It is now indestructible. Also, you're going to get 35% chance to cast level 8 dim vision on striking. You're going to get 50% faster hit recovery, 20% faster block rate, 55% increased chance of blocking. You will also get plus to defense. This is based on character level, 50 to life, 15 life after each kill, and 25% chance items roll magic or better. Or in other words, you get that magic find. I think we all know what that means. Now, as I'm sure you can see, this one did not roll very well on the resistances, and I would probably take these runes out and re-roll it over and over and over until I got 50 to all resistances. My only issue with this rune word is, although level 19 bone armor is great, level 8 dim vision can actually help you out quite a bit, especially if you're a melee character and you're in a pinch and you're getting swarmed and you just so happen to hit that dim vision on a few monsters and you're able to escape and it saves your life. That's really going to be more along the lines of people playing in hardcore or just people that really don't want to die, period, which I understand. Even if you are playing softcore, you probably don't want to die. The life after each kill is great. 50 to life is also going to help you out. I have to talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to this shield, and that is simply the fact that it does not give you plus to skills whatsoever. So why should I use this over spirit at all? I probably would never use this over spirit. Now, maybe if I was a barbarian or a druid or I guess an Amazon, I could see them using this as well. And again, I'm not saying it's garbage, but even this compared to Heaven's Will, I would probably pick Heaven's Will over Purity, and this one has a Zod rune in it. So anyways, yep, back to Purity. I mean, it does have that all resistance on it, which is something we sorely definitely need. But the simple lack of having all skills on this shield right here makes me really think I'll never use this thing. Tell me in the comments below, would you want to use this thing? There are some good points to this, but I don't know if you really need a Zod rune for this. I almost feel like if this one and this one, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if maybe they took a couple affixes off this and put it on here, it would be a little bit better. Let's say they took off the level 19 bone armor and put that on Heaven's Will, and then put the +6 to Fist of the Heavens on Purity, then I would totally go for Purity. And it would make sense to me why it has +6 to Fist of the Heavens on it, because it is such an expensive rune word. But just looking at these two side by side, in a weird way, being a paladin player, because I do play Pally quite a bit, so my main three are probably sorceress, assassin, and paladin. But looking at these next to each other, I'm not gonna lie, guys, there's a good chance that I would actually pick Heaven's Will over Purity. And considering this one right here has a Zod in it, I think that's kind of a problem. And maybe I'm the weird one, and the way I look at the game is just completely different from the way super smart geniuses look at the game. It's just, in my opinion, it's just, I mean, this one's gonna keep you alive way more than this one. But my whole philosophy has always been, if you don't get hit, you don't die, you know? So maybe that's just because of the kind of player that I am, and maybe this is a lot better. But again, I really think I would probably pick Heaven's Will, aside from the fact that this gives you all res, which I was talking about when we were talking about this. But like I said, if you can find a shield that already has a decent amount of all resistance on it, Heaven's Will can be pretty powerful. But I do think I will just go ahead and shut up now, because although I don't really think that anybody who's contributing to the mod will probably be watching this deep into the video, I don't want to give anybody ideas, and I don't want to be that guy that pointed something out like the one dude who pointed it out for Siren's song, but I'm just saying. But I don't want to be that guy that's like, hey man, this rune word right here needs to be nerfed, or you guys need to add something else to this to make it more expensive because +6 to Fist of the Heavens is pretty damn good. I don't want to like ruin the party for someone who actually likes this one, so I should probably just move on, because if I don't, and I keep preaching about this, then they might just be like, hey, let's add a Vex rune and a Jaw rune to this. And now I don't want to make it ever because it has way too many expensive runes in it. And that's a whole nother story. So thank you for watching the video. And everybody have a good night. And I will see you guys on the next one. And yeah, so late. By the time they find most people, by the time they actually find the rune word, no, recommendation. And if I could make any recommendation to it, and if I could make